Okay. Hello, everybody. Oh, good. Audio, man. Just a thing that happens. So, uh, I thought I would get one more episode in before the end of the year because I won't lie to you, it's taxing looking for a job all day and then wanting to do this. So, I missed all of you desperately. I've been trying to make it so that I can, set some time aside for that, but it seemed like every time 3 o'clock would come around, it's like, I got one more job I can go look at. Or, it's just I've been staring at job boards all day looking for things. And there are jobs out there. I won't lie to you. Um, so I hope everyone had a good Christmas. Not trying to bum anybody out. Some of you, are probably in the same boat I am. Everything that I've been reading is saying that it will pick up again after the first of the year with budgets. I actually had somebody, if you want to call this a piece of data, somebody from university I'd applied to said, we just got our funding to be able to start hiring people. Unfortunately, I don't think your job requirements are going to fit here because you want too much money. And I was like, I understand. From an educational point of view, they don't necessarily always pay the best. Um, and they have really really stringent requirements. So I hope that person, if there's other positions available that pop up, I hope they can find a place for me. So uh yeah, last couple weeks I've been interviewing, surprisingly busy over Christmas. People want you to want to interview, and maybe it's because they don't have a lot to do. There's code freezes, etc. So yeah, there's been activity going on. So I'm just gonna yeah. So I haven't been on probably since before Christmas, um, and there's been a lot of news. Ironically enough, if you hear my mama kitty in the background, she will be probably joining us at some point. Uh, she's to add to the um, issues going on at home without having a job and everything. We had to put down one of our cats. So our powder baby is gone. Her brother Q-Tip happened about 3 months ago, and so Mama Kitty is the only cat in the house for the first time in 15 years. So she's adjusting to whatever the new normal is in this case. So we've been giving her a lot of extra love and making sure that she's, knows that she's loved and is still with us. Don't know why her kids didn't last as long as she did, but yeah, it's cute. Pow Pow had allergies or issues that she just couldn't get around. So we miss her and we miss Q-Tip, and they're all frolicking together on the other side of the Rainbow Road or the Rainbow Bridge here. So um, yeah, so um, there's been a lot of crazy news in the last couple weeks. React Shell was one of the big ones. MangosBleed came up. So, um, yeah, and I've just been collecting a lot of different news stories. I hate to say it, but there is a good number of articles and opinion pieces and things on LinkedIn. Surprisingly good content. I'm not saying I wouldn't have gotten on Twitter, but it builds. There's people and they build content there, and that's their platform for that to be more professional. I've managed to scrub my timeline of just garbage for the most part. Haven't had any more recruiter types hit me up looking to help me out. I think the last one I got was somebody who is the CTO of USA Jobs, um, trying to do a resume review on me. They're not really trying. Some of them, it's like, why would the CTO of USA Jobs want to do resume review for me? So the minute they suggested, hey, let's go over to Fiverr and try to do a resume review, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're full of shit. So yeah, we're still going through the rounds here. So um, let me see. Oh, and welcome to everybody watching. Hope you're going to have a good holiday. We have about 9 hours left in 2025 here on the Pacific time zone. For those of you in London, you're about to, head on into 2026. And if you're in Eastern Europe, welcome to 2026. Hope it doesn't suck. So, all right, yeah, I've got some music. Let's start some music. Of course, this is chill out music. You can find a link in the notes down below or in the Stream Elements link to chill hot music. We're just gonna have a little nice background noise while we peruse the news article. Yeah, I've been busy looking at MuPy or PyMu PDF for trying to convert PDFs into Markdown or text to import into a local RAG and other things like that. So before we get started though with the news, and I forgot that I had this up, BSides Seattle. Sorry, BSides Seattle. There we go. Going to be happening 27th, 28th of February. Starts at 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. both days, right? So a little over 12 hours both days, or a little less than 12 hours both days. It's going to be Building 92, which is on Microsoft's campus. And they have various things. So if you want to be a sponsor of BSides Seattle, not San Diego. I am still involved with San Diego, but I'm also involved with Seattle. The organizers needed somebody to help out with doing some of the marketing, so they've made me the marketing person. So I'm doing media inquiries, I'm making posts on LinkedIn, I'm hitting up various Discords. I hope to do a good job, and I'm getting the hang of understanding the marketing side of things. So it's new experience for me. It's not not trying to sell cryptocurrency to somebody who doesn't want it. This is a good organization. I've known them. I was going to them yearly from 2015 to 2023 before I moved to San Diego. And just when the organizers hit me up, I was like, it's like improv. It's like yes and. So yes and. I want to help out as much as I can. So there is a sponsorship prospectus. Oh, and silly me, let me put a link to the site, BSidesSeattle.com. It's pretty self-explanatory there. There we go. There we go. Remove my bookmarks. You can check out everything there. So one of the interesting things is they have tickets. So the tickets are here. You can go and look at them. They have a schedule which is going to be happening as well. Let's see where it is. Okay, well, I'll just click on the tickets. It's Eventbrite. So if you want to go and grab tickets, they do tell you where the location is. They do tell you that tickets will not be available at the door. So if you don't have a ticket trying to go to BSides, you're probably not going to get in. If you have children under the age of 18, we welcome them. We actually have I believe a children's village, and Lockpick Village. Having organized one of my own Lockpick villages at my own conference, I think a 9-year-old girl won the last year we had it. I think I've told that story more than once. We do have a code of conduct, so you can go and check out the code of conduct if you need to. It's available. So we do not condone harassment for any participant for any reason. Harassment includes deliberate intimidation, targeting individuals in a manner that makes them feel unwelcome, unloved, or uncomfortable, unwelcome, or afraid. So we do have a code of conduct. We expect everybody to follow it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but feel free to read it if you need to. If you're unable to afford a ticket, you can email them and see what you can do. They have a limited number of zero-cost tickets. Please do not take a ticket if you can afford it. These are for folks who might be student or out of work and need the networking opportunities. So please don't be that person. If you can afford the ticket, please do so. If your company will reimburse you for said ticket, it would be even better. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit up bsideseattle@gmail.com or at BSideSeattle. I'm assuming that's on Twitter. Yeah. So, and the tickets will be available, right now. So you can get tickets. They start from $28.52. And let me see what layers they have here. So, participant. Everyone participates. This is early bird pricing until November 11th. Okay, so early bird's gone, right? November 11th. Spawn camp, here's the youth technology at BSides. So this is 8 to 18, any skill level, hands-on activities, teaching classes relevant to staying safe online, how computers really work, intro to terminals. So Girls Who Hack, which is an excellent organization, by the way. So yeah, make sure that you can bring your kids. It's going to be kid friendly, and they can learn a few things at the same time. And we can get them involved in computers and computer science and security as soon as possible. Let's go back here. And yeah, so the participant is 135.23, and you can check that out. So. Okay, so the other thing, they have a room block. So if you don't want to drive, it's in Redmond, which is not Seattle. So those of you who are not aware of the Pacific Northwest, Redmond is east of Seattle, somewhat northeast of Seattle. And they have a group rate for one of the organizations, a Loft Seattle. So it's a hotel here in the Seattle Redmond area, and it's I wouldn't say a short walk. It's a 20-minute walk, less than a mile. So. And it's in February, so bring a jacket, bring a coat if you're not used to the weather. And there's obviously options, buses and things that you could take if you wanted to get to Building 92, which is right up here. Lovely building, lovely area. The store, I don't believe, will be open on Saturday or Friday or Saturday, but they do have a very large Microsoft company store there if you wanted to go check that out on a normal work day. And plenty of parking if you want to park. I've never had a problem finding parking on the weekends there. If you really don't want to park in the open, they have a really large parking structure in the Commons here underneath the Microsoft Commons. But yeah, it's always a good time. There's a lot of good speakers. The speaker list is right here along with the tracks for that. They've already figured out. So Eva Ben is going to be the keynote. We have 4 tracks. So, including an AI track from Emily Choi Green, formerly of Google, I believe. But yeah, there's a lot of good speakers, a lot of good content here. So if you can mix and match and figure out what you're going to go see and when. And yeah, Leah Snyder and Mike Andrews. Let's see. Oh, Megan Roddy Fonseca is going to be there. Cool. That'll be awesome. It's going to be good to see her again. Oh, Matt Domko, a good friend of mine, former co-organizer of my own conference, and so he's going to be speaking. And yeah, we're going to have some additional parties and things going on as well. So just keep an eye out and follow along. And yeah, so and Saturday we got second keynote from Yoshi Kono. Apologies there. Computer Security Ethics and Society. So there's and we have some TBD kind of stuff as well. So. Yeah. Let me see. Sergio, yes. Noah Bradley, Dylan Rangel. Rangel, ruminations on Tempest for LCDs. Interesting. Tempest for LCDs. I haven't had to deal with Tempest in a while. Alexei Denisov. Really? Okay, yeah. All right. From, Principal Security Engineer, Splunk, and Cisco. All right, on. And yeah, so we're gonna have some other things as well. I think we're gonna be having some events and things after hours. Can't imagine we wouldn't. So yeah, just keep an eye out on these. And looks like they don't have any particular, like this is the AI track or whatever. But if you're interested in checking these out, go do so. And this is the schedule for that. One of these days I'll figure out copy paste without having to copy paste. Here we go. And yeah, so you can go and check out all the good stuff there. Yeah, see, it's 21 miles to the airport. That's down the 405, so plan accordingly. Element Seattle's another hotel. It's by Westin, so if you're one to handle with chains or whatever, you can do that. Merrimore Park, Woodinville Wineries, RTC, Redmond Town Center. Oh, what is it? Well, come on, sweetheart. Come on. Yeah, there you go. Come on. Come on. There you go. Yes. You get up here. Tell everybody about it. What's going on? Oh, don't sneeze on me. All right. So, yeah, let's... yeah, they have a group rate, so that we have a room block, presumably. Try to book by the 27th of January, just to let them know you're going to do that. There are other options in the area, but we can't... I'm sure you can figure those out. Bellevue, there's some stuff down Bellevue. It's a little bit of a drive if you wanted to go that route. So. And the PWA app is good. Let me see. Yeah, there you go. You see the full schedule. This would be the app for your phone. So BSides Seattle, sessionize.com. 58 days until. So, yeah. Let me see. Oh, so MangosBleed. If you use MongoDB, so I was reading several write-ups on this, and I actually have a couple here where I think Kevin Beaumont actually goes through and does some IOCs and hunting where to find. Let me see. No, that's the other. That was the other funny one I found. It's been a while, but let me see here. Right up on the vulnerability detection capabilities, right? So what will make the CV particularly challenging for blue teams is it seems to be only detectable in the server logs, which are extremely unlikely to be shipped to any SIM. It requires somewhat complex logic, which could be tricky to port in most SIM detection engines. Yeah, so Velociraptor. I don't know Velociraptor. Let's see. Oh, Rapid7's Velociraptor. It's a SIM or log ingestion tool. Yeah, open source platform, endpoint monitoring, digital forensics, and cyber response. Okay. Yeah, so if you have Velociraptor, you're probably going to be ahead of the game. But there's additional bits here. The one thing that got me is I did not realize that there's this many versions of MongoDB. I consider it to be very unhealthy to have this many versions of MongoDB running around. You see that in a lot of other Linux kernel versions. They had the 2.4, the 2.6, the 2.10, and then they had the later versions of ones that came out. I don't know why you would be running older versions of these, but I don't know why you would want to do that. If anybody, put in the comments why you're running, an ancient version of, MongoDB 4.4, or maybe you have an appliance that's packaged with an older version of MongoDB that has to still be supported. Maybe that's one of the bigger reasons why the older versions are still there. Yeah. It would be, I can understand why infrastructure like this or systems like MongoDB might have packaged older versions with these things, but there should be some kind of deprecation process to get rid of anything from 3.6 all the way up to 8.2. It's just unfortunate. So anyway, they have a zlib, which I look to see if zlib is an open source application. Down here. Zlib is a web page, obviously is from another time and another place. Uses a specific template because they want to make sure that they aren't doing anything too complicated. But I don't think the version of this is the same as the one that comes with MongoDB. It is a version, but there may have been additional things added, and it sounds like the zlib issue that affected MongoDB doesn't affect somebody who might be using zlib elsewhere. Because I was like, this is pretty, ubiquitous, right? Across a lot of organizations, a lot of open source platforms will use zlib for compressing, compressing things on the back end. I did not see any place where somebody was like, oh, this is across all, anything that uses zlib, which would have been way, way worse and way different. So I'm going to minimize my screen. That way I am not, I'm looking at my Google output and it's like 10 seconds later. So the good thing is that it could have been crushingly bad. It could have been a zlib vulnerability instead of a Mongo zlib vulnerability. So let's clear out some things as we go. It exploits a flaw in how MongoDB handles zlib compressed network messages. So it's not a zlib, in this case, not a zlib related item. It's in how MongoDB handles the zlib compressed network messages. When compression is enabled, which often is for performance, the attacker can craft connections that cause the server to leak chunks of its memory and responses. Think Heartbleed, but for MongoDB, which is why they called it MongoBleed. And so if you're not using zlib compressed network messages, then you may be okay. There's obviously examples. Let me grab this for everybody here. Eric Capuano. So the attack pattern says this is where it gets interesting from a detection standpoint. The exploit works by establishing many rapid connections to the MongoDB server, tens of thousands per minute. So what gets me is that MongoDB is not pushing logs to the SIM. So that's a problem. Typically is what Eric say here. And they say, yeah, the exploit never sends client metadata. Okay, so talking to each connection probes for memory leaks, and the attacker aggregates the leaked data to reconstruct sensitive information. Here's the insight: the exploit never sends client metadata. Every legitimate MongoDB driver, whether it's PyMongo, Node.js driver, MongoSH, or any other, sends a client metadata message immediately after connecting. This metadata includes driver name, version, operating system, application name. MongoDB logs this as event 51800. The Mongo exploit connects using event ID 22943, does its thing and disconnects 22944, no metadata ever. Well, that's nice. Okay, so as Eric says here, source IP, hundreds or thousands of connections, zero metadata events, almost certainly not legitimate traffic. So that's a nice better detection mechanism. If we've, in the past when we've talked with Ms. Berlin about threat detection on that, the threat hierarchy, IP addresses are good, but they can change, so they're not really a good indicator of compromise. Something like this, where it's like, if it's not generating a 51800, that is, that could be something could be blocked. So after the initial connection, and I'm not exactly sure how that would work. You would have to want to, you'd want to kill it. Yeah, it would remain difficult to mask without significantly reducing exploitation speed, creating a trade-off between stealth and effectiveness. It could be that, maybe the attackers are going to get smarter and they're going to add that 51800 event ID. I don't know how easy it would be to spoof something like that. Patch vulnerable systems. Yeah, defense in depth applies. Patch vulnerable systems rather than relying solely on behavioral detection. So the Velociraptor artifact he created, if you're using the Rapid 7 version of a SIM collector or threat intelligence collector, implements a multifaceted detection approach. So it parses the JSON logs for connection events, metadata, events and disconnection events. So the three numbers you need are 22.943, 22.944, and 51.800. Aggregate by source IP within a configurable time window. Calculate the metadata rate, which percentages of connections sent metadata. Calculate connection velocity, how many connections per minute, and apply risk scoring based on combination of factors. That's not awful. The problem is if they've made tens of thousands of connections to you, you may already have had your data lifted. Blocking this, I think, would be very difficult. You're kind of doing forensics. You're doing forensics at this point, right? Velocity component is important. Without it, you might flag a misconfigured application that made 100 connections over several hours without proper driver initialization. With velocity factored in, we're looking at characteristic burst pattern, 100,000 connections a minute. I'll tell you right now, I'm not up on how many connections a MongoDB will make per minute, but if a single IP is making 100,000 plus connections a minute, I would block that after, say, 20,000 or whatever is beyond the pale, right? If you're all of a sudden seeing an uptick, bang, 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 multiple connections, when you're not normally going to be seeing that many connections. Now, if you're dealing with things at scale, like if you're a big Fortune 10 company, that may not be a good indicator, but you would definitely want to take a look and see what is going on. What is the normal, right? Because like he says, you don't want to block something that might actually be legit if you're something that's making 50,000 connections. I've also seen teams that'll be just like, why are you putting rate limiting on my APIs, or why are you putting rate limiting on my Hadoop? We need to know a status change, and we'll query it several times a minute. And I've asked the question to teams, why do you need to know every 10 seconds if the status of something has been updated, or why do you need to pull this data so many times a minute? You don't need to pull 100,000 connections a minute. You don't need to pull 20,000 connections a minute. I would say it's complicated, right? It's a use case thing. Maybe they do have a need for that, but sometimes it's just organizations that just want to have microsecond updates or something, and it's like, that's just not realistic, and you don't need that. I wasn't about to release a detection artifact without validating it against actual exploitation, so we set up a lab environment, spun up a vulnerable 8.22 container with zlib compression enabled, deployed a Velociraptor server and installed a Linux client inside the container, ran MongoBleed POC against it, collected the artifacts, and checked the results. What's the POC here? Okay, so he has so there's a proof of concept here. So if, I'm assuming you've already dealt with all of the aftermath of this. So I apologize if you were on Christmas. I think this came out like the Wednesday before Christmas. Somebody was being a jackass and decided to post this on like the day before Christmas. I don't know if this is the person that did it, but they, in the military, we'd take them out to the fan room. So I'm not gonna say why, but yeah. So okay, so yeah, it shows you how to set up everything if you wanted to set it up. Compose file is included to spin up a vulnerable MongoDB instance. So here's your Docker Compose YAML file. Okay, all right, so you're gonna grab 8.22, MongoBleed target. You're gonna run 27017. Okay, so if you wanna test this yourself, you can do it right now using the YAML file and using the configs from MongoBleed. I would go ahead and grab that before it gets taken down for whatever reason, if there's going to be. You're going to need to probably draw a bit of the OWL without really knowing what's going on by setting up an init DB, setting up your database. No, wait, what is this? Okay, so Mongo, yes, network message pressures using zlib, find IP all, restart and let's stop. So maybe you don't actually need to have let's see. Go back here. Like the artifact, check the results. Here's what exploit traffic look like. Connections 499, metadata events 0, right? Duration 0.3 seconds, velocity 100,000 connections a minute. Okay. I don't know what his, what his system looks like to be able to make 100,000 connections. I would be interested in seeing if I can do that on my local box here without crashing the system. Metadata rate 0%, likely MangosBleed exploitation. Detection confirmed. Artifact correctly flagged the attack with high confidence. Okay. So he checked with the 4 versions of MongoDB, 6, 7, 8, and 8.2. Looking for false positives. Let me see. Analyze several data production logs from real-world deployments. The results were reassuring. Legitimate traffic. Yeah, see, velocity 0.2 to 3.2 connections a minute. Metadata rate 99 to 100%. Daily volume. Okay, so 300 to 4,500 connections. That makes way more sense. I would say in a minute, if you're getting, what did he say, 100,000 connections in 60 minutes, so that's 10,000 a minute. Yeah, so if you're getting that amount or that size of connections, and it's, if you know what your legitimate traffic is, your traffic rates, so if you know you're getting your MongoDB hit 4,500 times a day, and you get 4,500 within 5-minute period or more, then you probably can, start looking at the IP addresses of those things and start rate limiting, period. Yeah, okay, so 500 connections in less than a second. So if you're seeing that kind of, legitimate attack traffic, you can probably, consistently send metadata with every connection. The velocity is measured in single-digit connections per minute, not hundreds of thousands. Artifact provides 3 data sources. MongoDB log analysis. Okay, so var log, MongoDB. If you're not parsing or you're not ingesting your MongoDB logs into your SIM, why aren't you? I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. Docker MongoDB logs parses logs from Docker containers. When you specify a container pattern, and raw connection events returns individual connection events for detailed investigation. Okay. Yeah, see, look how fast that is. You're getting 3 connections a second right there. 20, 22944. Yeah, you're just getting them over and over and over again. Raw connection events. No 51 or 5. What's the name of that? What's the number code? There it is, 51800. That's it. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of no 51800s. So it should go, 43, 51800, 44, right? Yeah. A lot of garbage. Docker sources, smart about not executing necessarily. You're also going to see like an uptick in your resources. I'd imagine you're going to see some network saturation. You're going to see, so there's going to be other things. Maybe if you maybe if you don't have your logs necessarily in your database, one of the indicators will be like, wow, we've seen an uptick in network traffic in the past, 10, 15 minutes. All of a sudden, that'll give you some impetus to go in and look at your logs and go, oh, okay, well, we're seeing a lot of connections on MongoDB without a 51800. And you can say, well, okay, we're going to start blocking that, or we need to set up a rule to rate limit, those IP addresses. And actually, you wouldn't want to rate limit those IP addresses because they're still throwing zlib type issues, looking for, secrets or looking for information or things in memory that could help them elsewhere. So once you start seeing traffic like that, you're going to want to block that immediately, I'd imagine. How far back to look? 60 minutes. connection threshold. Yeah, minimum connections to flag 100, which you're getting 500 in 0.3 seconds. So yeah, your your default's gonna be pretty good. Wow. Yeah, minimum connections a minute for high risk is default of 500. Few things to keep in mind: JSON logging is required, so 4.4 higher. So if your MongoDB version for, if you're running it for your web application, defaults to JSON formatted logs. If you're running an older version with legacy text logs, this won't work out of the box. So if you're God, can't imagine you running an older version of MongoDB, but like I said, if you have an application that you've bought from a third party that's using an ancient version of MongoDB, you have a Blinky box with MongoDB, connected to it, you may need to set up and configure your MongoDB to send logs if you're not doing it already. Artifact can only analyze logs that exist, so yeah, if you're rotating your logs aggressively or your attacker clears them, you'll miss the evidence. So log retention, which is why you don't want your logs sitting locally on your system. You want to move those off to your SIM. Linux only. While MongoDB runs on Windows, the vast majority of production deployments are Linux. So if you're running MongoDB on Windows, and I'm not sure why you would do that, but if you are, you may not be vulnerable to this. The artifact is, so if you have Velociraptor, they have an artifact exchange, some kind of marketplace where you can buy or get artifacts. You can import it directly into your Velociraptor deployment, start hunting immediately. If you're running MongoDB in your environment, here's what I'd recommend. Patch now. Yes, if you haven't patched already. Run this artifact against your Mongo servers, check for exploitation attempts. Even if you've patched, attackers may have hit you before the fix was applied. And check your log retention. If you keep only a few hours of logs, you may have already lost evidence. Yeah. Yeah, I'd imagine if you get a lot of MongoDB connections, your log file may get fairly large. But, this vulnerability is trivial to exploit, and the POC is public. So yeah, you can add that as priority to address, right? If you haven't fixed it already, if you spent Christmas morning fixing your MongoDB, you can thank whoever decided to push the POC for that. So, Kevin Beaumont's Mongo write-up. This was the one that, somebody from Elastic Security is the problem, right? They posted an exploit on Christmas Day. So, okay, so the MangosBleed that I posted up in the chat is the person, at least, who posted that up to GitHub. Wonder what Joe's thoughts was there, doing so. Of course, maybe he discovered it at Elasticsearch, or maybe they're using MongoDB in some form or factor, and they noticed the connections. Another vendor decided it would be great to post technical details on Christmas Eve. So yeah, ox.security. So yes, this person here decided to ruin Christmas by posting up something on Christmas Eve. Ox Research, yep. Yeah. It should be noted that they don't have a fix for the older versions of, I guess I buried that lead here a little bit, but there are no fixes for things before 4.2 version. So if you are running an ancient version of MongoDB, you're still vulnerable, unless you have some way of turning off zlib compression, which could be an option. Or you're running it on Windows, which is another option. If you're not keeping your logs on those, or like they said, if you're doing aggressive log rotation, you're gonna miss that. You're gonna miss out on that. You could miss out on it. All right. So yeah, anybody had to spend time on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day fixing your MongoDB instances or have to run incident response on this, because these lovely people decided to post up, decided to ruin a Christmas by that. I can't. There's a couple of hard and fast rules in my career that I've learned. Is one, you don't start anything new on a Friday, you don't push to prod on Friday, and you don't do anything major before a holiday. If they broke at least the third one, technically, Christmas had been on a Saturday or something, then they would have broke all three. But yeah, let me see. So Mongo, so you can actually see it here in the code. I'll put link. Yes. And then here's the source from MongoDB. Yeah, this appears to be the zlib that is packaged with the MongoDB, not the one that is part of zlib itself. So. Oh, worried your environment was exposed? Contact us to validate your exposure and understand the impact. Yeah, it's already too late. I think if calling up Aux security, doing so. Yeah, if you're using MongoDB, update to the latest fix or disable zlib decompression. You're gonna have to, not just disabling zlib decompression, but yeah. I almost want to reach out to that person on LinkedIn and go, what was your thinking of doing this just before Christmas? I think I'm going to do that. I'm not drunk, I want to understand what their thought process is of, hey, were you just bored being off that week and you're like, hey, let's just, throw something out there to ruin people's day? Or, could have been one of those things like, if you don't do it, I'm going to, or they'd had credible evidence that there was going to be attackers trying to use this on Christmas Day, and because everybody was going to be at home opening presents, so that's why they posted it. Yeah, I'm gonna hit that. I'm gonna hit up Joe. I'm gonna hit up the Aux folk, this person, see what the thought was there. Yeah, Joe, technical analysis, MongoDB's bug file. Oh. I don't remember seeing that link earlier. Make minimally sized buffers for uncompressed messages. So Spencer Jackson, okay. Looks like they updated it on the 29th. I don't know when the initial commit was. Let me see. Oh, this is their Jira stuff. Let me see. 22nd. Okay, so they knew about this 3 days before Christmas. Yeah, make minimally sized buffers. They made changes to all the branches, 4.4, 8.23 is, you wrote to upgrade 8.23, but it's still also affected. 8.23 is not affected and should be upgraded to take advantage of the fix. This changes the content that was published on linked CVE. Oh, okay. Where's the... So yeah, it looks like they discovered this on the 22nd, and it took 3 days to do the write-up, and they didn't want to wait until after Christmas. So. Still, they could have waited until the 26th, maybe, or it could very well be that somebody is monitoring these kinds of things, and an attacker would be like, yeah, we're gonna use this as soon as possible, and they had to push this out before Christmas. So it could be an operational thing as well. I'm not saying they did it maliciously or did it to, ruin people's days, but they published this on the 22nd. So the initial issue came up on 3 days before Christmas. So it took time to figure out how to find it, where to find it, how to track it down, and how to fix it, or how to detect it if you've got it. So as a member of the media, I will ask and see what's going on. Okay, so close close that. So I don't know if y'all heard about the Lazarus Group thing, but these folks from BCA Ltd, NorthScan, and AnyRun, they infiltrated a North Korean operation. They built up trust. They worked to get hired by the Kalima folks, which is Lazarus Group, and they posed. They're posing as remote IT workers. So some of the issues, even when I'm looking for a job, is they want to see you on camera because recruiters are, spooked by the fact that, you could be hiring a North Korean operator. I think I want to say one of the other things in the news was let's see there. Yes. Amazon caught a North Korean IT worker by tracing keystroke data. The article, let's see if it loads from Bloomberg. Nope, not Bloomberg. Okay, so let's back it up. There it is, Tom's Hardware. So, yeah, they found it by a 110 millisecond keystroke input. The delay, because what had happened was the imposter was uncovered, worked as a sysadmin at Amazon. Keystroke input lag raised suspicion with security specialists at the online retail giant. And so what had happened was person got hired, Bob, and works in IT. Amazon shipped them a laptop, much like, some companies do, to an address in Arizona, I think they said. Let me see. Flagged U.S. remote worker was control. Yeah, they were remotely controlling the laptop. So after they got the laptop, software was installed on the laptop that allowed them to do remote access. It can be something as simple as a team viewer or something like that. Yes, a woman found to be facilitating this fraud on the behalf of North Korean imposter workers was sentenced several years earlier this year. Yeah, DPRK had access to this Amazon laptop located in Arizona. So, I live in Arizona, send me a laptop. They sent it to the woman. To be fair, North Korea gave her good instructions on how to set everything up. They hooked it up to her internet connection, IP address, run this software or enable this thing, and we'll just get in and do what we need to do. And apparently there was enough of a delay, 110 milliseconds in this case, which is, I don't know what so that would be ping times, right? So, they're noticing the keystroke delay on software that might have been installed on the laptop, which that actually raises another question about, is Amazon monitoring keyboard logging times and stuff? New sysadmin's laptop alerted them about unusual behavior. Yeah, that's really weird. So Amazon is monitoring keystrokes on laptops, it sounds like, or maybe they had enough information maybe to start monitoring key logging or keyboard access on the box here. So let's see. It says it's foiled more than 1,800 infiltration attempts since 2024. So everybody wants to come and work at Amazon, especially if you're North Koreans. They've had 27% quarter-over-quarter uplift in North Koreans trying to get into the Amazon corporation. Yeah. So in a statement of clarification to Tom's Hardware and Amazon, representative clarified the DPRK hacker was hired as a contract system developer, not a sysadmin. Oh, okay. Wow. All right. So they updated that on the 21st. But yeah, keystroke delay. Somebody was monitoring keystroke activity or computer activity and noticed that So I'm assuming the delay was the translation of the connection to and from. How annoying would that be? 110 milliseconds. It's like when you're typing and you notice that there's a delay. They have to get used to that delay themselves when they're typing things. So when you hit the button, there's going to be 110 milliseconds. How many milliseconds? 110 mil, that's a tenth of a second? Yeah, it's a tenth of a second. So 115. So, I mean, it's not going to be like, it's not going to be a huge delay, but you're going to see like, you're going to hit, and it's going to take some time to, get through. So, yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, put that Eric Capuano. Yep. Okay. Here's the Jira for the MangosBleed stuff. There we go. Yeah, so this is the double pulsar. This was the Kevin Beaumont link. There you go. Yeah, go have some fun with that if you want to test out MangosBleed. There's plenty of versions out there that are vulnerable apparently. You can go down to 8.21 even, if you wanted to go down earlier than that. So. Or you may have an old enough version of 8.0 that the vulnerability itself wasn't introduced into the code base. It'd be nice to know when the bug was introduced. I don't know if you can find that out from the commit logs. Who decided to add that bit in there, but they had to add all this line of code here to make sure that you got rid of your the compressor message tests. So there's quite a few test cases and output there. Yeah, so they removed output.length and then they replaced it with that. So I just want to pop this into have a Gemini open over here. Let me go and see. Let me explain. Let's change in Zealand. So this has to do with recent MangosBleed vulnerability. This is the change in MongoDB's Zealand library. I've been using Gemini quite a bit for job cover letters and helping out with some of that. So. Right, looks like a tiny tweak, but there completely changes the data that gets sent back to the user. Here's the breakdown of why that line matters so much. The difference between length and output length. In the original code, return length, the function was telling the rest of the system, here's a buffer of data and it's this many bytes long. Problem is that length in this context likely represented the buffer size or the expected uncompressed size, not necessarily the exact amount of data that ended up in that buffer. In the new code, return output length, the function says here's the buffer and the size is exactly how much data is currently inside the output object. Okay. And then goes on to explain, imagine the server allocates a chunk of memory to handle a request. Since the memory is reused for performance, this buffer might still contain ghosts of old data like passwords, tokens, user queries from previous operations, right? When the compression decompression operation ran, let's say it only filled the first 100 bytes of that buffer with real data. variable length might still be set to 1000. Yes, and then that's what caused with Heartbleed, where you're able to pull secrets out of memory in the same way. Because the code returned length, the system obediently read all 10,000 bytes and sent them back. The recipient got their 100 bytes of real data, followed by 900 bytes of uninitialized memory, which might still have random stuff in it, including secrets. So there you go. Yeah, you can take a look at the query that I put here. I don't often optimize my queries, but just like Google, it's often very helpful in allowing it to do that. I could have done this with Copilot or whatever. I would assume it would be very similar. I also like using the canvas because when I'm writing things, it'll allow you to go back in and make changes to that. And I use Pro or Thinking. I don't use Fast all the time because sometimes I get a more complete answer using Thinking or Pro. Most AIs for me these days are like using different search engines. Like we use Google, Bing, and Yahoo. I use Gemini, Copilot. I use ChatGPT for various things just to see what different answers I'll get with the same output. I do a lot of the same thing when I was Google dorking, or Bing dorking, or Yahoo dorking, or DuckDuckGo dorking. DuckDuck dorking? DuckDuckGo dorking. DuckDuckGo dorking. But yeah, I like using those too. I'm gonna have so much spam I'm gonna have to unsubscribe from when I finally get a job. So many, like My Job Helper and Lenza and a bunch of these are just constantly sending stuff that doesn't even matter or is not even something I can do to work for them. A lot of this is in Washington State. So. But it's like physician's assistant at Virginia Mason Medical Center. Nobody wants me operating on them, or diagnosing whatever their fundus is or whatever. So yeah, there's the a better example of why this is a problem. So by switching to output, the code now strictly limits the return of the actual data written if 900 bytes are written. It seems like that there should be other places you should be scanning your code or in your libraries for things like this, where anything that is taking data or is decompressing or compressing code, or where any place where a buffer can be added should not be using length as the option. That's very similar to there might be legitimate places to put that, but if you're dealing with returning certain lengths, or in this case like return length, you can search for that in your code repos, return length. You should be looking for things like that in your code repos, or setting up your code scanners to look for things like that for potential. Is this a place where should you be returning length here, or should you be outputting length and fixing potential /bleed kind of vulnerabilities? That's just an easy mistake, right? Okay, so server, okay. Merry Christmas, MongoDB. Sorry, so you should read this whole thing. There's a good bit of video about this, the Kalimo thing as well. Sorry, I got off on a different tangent. They basically owned up the North Koreans, got them to actually run code on their own laptops in North Korea. We divided this effort into 2 stages: approaching one of the recruiters, so one of the North Korean recruiters, building a relationship and a rapport, and then received an offer to help them set up their laptops to work. So they became like the person in Arizona that took the Amazon laptops and muled them up to set them up to make them work. And then setting up a simulated laptop farm using a sandboxed environment provided by any.run to record activity in real time and analyze their tool chain and TTPs. Controlled crashes and resets kept them contained. This prevented any malicious activity. So, interesting. All interviews with DPRK agents and their activities on the laptop farm are recorded from start to finish in an unprecedented effort and publicly documents their operations inside for the first time. And it goes on. I mean, I'm still scrolling, but there's a whole, I mean, it is an amazing write-up. Oh yeah, you can, let's read the page, see if we can. Yeah, so yeah, you can watch the YouTube videos right here.
This thing, I have to leave.
There you go. So yeah, they have Lazarus #5, so this is unlisted. So yeah, if you want to follow along with those, this would be like the 5th video. I'm guessing they're keeping a fairly tight edit on these, so you can't see the person's background or whatever. Looks like they got stuff in North Korea, right? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, we agreed to install AnyDesk so he can walk me through everything step by step. So yeah, I mean, they have their playbooks down to a science, right? And they're well written. And the interviewer explains, I will handle the interviews myself with his full support. Added, he can help me set up LinkedIn, prepare my CV, and schedule the calls. He'll offer 20% cut if I act as a front man, or 10% if he only uses my information and laptop while he conducts the interviews himself. He then walks through the payment methods, mentioning bank details, Payoneer or PayPal accounts, asks for my social for background checks, stressing that having a clean criminal record. So they don't want to work with other criminals. They just want to work with people who want to be criminals. Next, he tells me not to worry about setting up the laptop. He'll download everything he needs himself. Next, he mentions I will need to verify all accounts with my documents on various platforms to meet KYC requirements. Asks me to download AnyDesk. Okay. Not sure if that's what was on the Amazon laptop that they'd mentioned, but yeah, any remote tool that allows them to interact with the laptop, remote TeamViewer or AnyDesk or whatever. That's hilarious. I tell him I have another laptop he can use. We go back and forth. He asks me to remove my background so he can see the machine more clearly. I refuse, saying my room is messy. Oh, that's nice. Then we discuss how to set up my environment to start working right away. He says he has no preference regarding the operating system. So they have different implants for Mac OS, Windows, Linux, whatever. I apologize for keeping him up late, and he replies that he works from different time zones, so it's okay. Wow, okay. We continue chatting on Telegram. The next day, he plans to look for jobs with my LinkedIn profile. He then shares the sectors he's interested in targeting: IT, fintech, e-commerce, and healthcare. So it kind of goes beyond just laptop muling, right? He takes over for that person and gets that person hired in some way. Later that day, we do a final review of our terms, agreeing to a 20% cut and share access to Gmail, LinkedIn, bank accounts, social security number, and any background check information. After that, he asks me to set 123 QWE. Wow. Okay, that is an odd password. Okay. Bang number capital QWE. So they don't put the ampersand key in there. So it's basically 123 QWE 13 QWE. Or shift 1 shift 3 QWE as the password for AnyDesk. I'm guessing they probably use that for all of their laptops. So a little bit of good information there. If you just hired somebody new, go and check to see what they've named their password or whatever the hash is for your SHA-1. If you don't salt your hashes, go and check and see if you can log in with the new person's account using that value, or any keyboard walking, any kind of keyboard walking, version of that. That would be a good way to check for those kinds of things, I'd imagine. Took some time off while Morrow and AnyRun set up the farm. I had to come up with an excuse in the following meeting. Aaron tells me not to disappear and to stay in touch, saying that communication is important. He wants to be connected to me 24/7. Sure, why not? still generating trust, right? But it takes time to set up the lab and the farm and everything that they need to intercept these things. He again asks me to set a specific password on any desk and that keep the machine available around the clock. I tell him I will and jokingly ask him not to peek at my photos. We share a laugh and he assures me he won't do anything outside of his work. Wow. Okay, so yeah, really a long write-up. It is definitely hilarious. You can go and take a look at those. Obviously, they're using this is a big any run kind of haha thing, but check all that out if you are interested in that, because it's a good read, it's a good write-up, and it's amazing. Pre-installed development tools. So they're any run sandbox. Perfectly mimics a laptop used by a real developer. That's the idea, right? You want to mimic a real environment, as real environment as possible. Setup was enough to trap the Kalimas inside and extract as much information as possible. So they used normal Windows 10 and another one with Windows 11. Makes sense. Makes sense. Environments are routed through residential proxy to create the appearance of being located in the U.S., matching threat actors' preference for U.S.-based developers. Wow. Yeah. So that's a good one. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through that one. That one was quite long. A lot of people were upset about this one. Saw a lot of people on LinkedIn were like, "Oh, I can't believe they did that." I can. After, this training day, right? You've worked on the side of good for so long, and you see people getting paid out, and you want a piece of that pie, right? So, shocking betrayal of industry trust. Shocking industry trust. Two former cybersecurity professionals. No, they're still cybersecurity professionals. They're just, going to be put in jail for a little while. They did plead guilty to federal charges, launching ransomware attacks against U.S. businesses. The pair, whose day jobs involved helping companies respond to hacks and negotiate ransoms, admitted to moonlighting cyber criminals in a plot to extort millions of dollars from victims. Ryan Clifford Goldberg. Why do they do that? White dudes. I'm assuming they're both white. Names like Kevin Tyler Martin and Ryan Clifford Goldberg. They always do that. They always put the middle names in. I don't get that. Maybe there's enough Ryan Goldbergs out there. You don't want to be that Ryan Goldberg. God help you if you're another Ryan Clifford Goldberg or another Kevin Tyler Martin. Yeah, that'd be rough. Previously, a ransomware negotiator for a company called DigitalMint pled guilty to one count of conspiracy to interfere with commerce by extortion. Okay. They have a third unnamed conspirator. Two men, spent years hacking networks and demanding payments. So yeah, they're moonlighting as bad guys. This is stuff Hollywood, right? You've got a cop who's bad. Cop goes bad, or you have the ransomware people who are supposed to help you navigate and fix your issues, but they were the ones who caused the fire in the first place, like Backdraft. They're like the Backdraft. They used a notorious Alpha Black Cat ransomware to steal and encrypt victims' data. They're also accused of splitting their illicit profits with developers of the ransomware software. Oh, that's nice. Profit sharing. Profit sharing is nice. The group successfully extorted a ransomware payment of more than $1 million in crypto from a Florida-based medical device company. The case is particularly alarming because both men held positions of trust within the industry designed to defend against such threats. Can you imagine the negotiator? They're like, oh, the negotiator says we want 15 months. So they're, playing each other back and forth, right? You imagine the negotiator negotiating with himself to get more money. Oh yeah, they want 13 Bitcoin now. They don't want, 5 Bitcoin. Oh, you better pay him quick. You better pay him quick, or they're gonna delete all your data. And he's sitting back laughing because he knows he's affecting the price of the ransom, or fixing the ransom so that he gets the most money possible. So yes, of course, both companies where these people were employed have quickly distanced themselves because of trust now because what does Digital Mint do? What is Digital Mint? Yeah, cyber intel and threat response. Ouch. So yeah, that's their job, right? Services, crypto. That's the first thing they do. Ransomware, cryptocurrency settlements, threat actor communications. A call is coming from inside the house. Proactive retained services, anti-money laundering and sanctions compliance. Okay. You think what that guy did was under custom solutions? I'm just messing. It's a really bad day for everybody involved who do that shit. Yeah. They were fired on discovery of their activities, and the company is fully cooperating with the Justice Department. It's really all they can do, right? And then they're going to have to, explain to their customers that they have that, we've gotten rid of all the bad eggs in our company, and here's how we figured that out. Yes, Digital Mint spokesperson in an emailed statement, they wholly acted outside the scope of their employment without any authorization, knowledge, or involvement from the company. Yes, they're the dirty diaper that they just tossed in the trash can because they're like, yeah, here's a 10, I have an 11-foot pole. I don't even want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Similarly, a spokesman for the Israeli-based firm Signia, ouch, confirmed that Goldberg was fired immediately. Goldberg? Oh, Ryan Claver Goldberg. Okay. Goldberg was fired immediately upon learning the situation. Cigna emphasized the firm itself was not a target of the investigation. Okay. That's rough. Yeah, I can understand. They're seeing people get paid millions of dollars. Companies, I wonder can we find out? Let me see. Florida Medical Device. Florida-based. Sorry, I'm using a different screen. Medical Device. Ransom. I'm wondering if there was a separate story about that, right? Let's see if I can figure it out. Primary victim was a medical device firm headquartered in Tampa Bay. Okay. You could probably figure out who did it by... All right, so they were based out of Tampa Bay. Let's see. Right. Other healthcare, Florida Department of Health, Medical Associates in Broward, Tampa-based addiction. So, Tampa Bay Medical Device Company. So there are a handful, according to seamless.ai. I don't want to use that. So there's Jabble, there is Innovus Medical, Intuitive Health Aid Company, probably not this one, Local Repair, Maintenance, and Rental. We have medical device manufacturers, Medical Simulation Tech, Global Manufacturing Leader for Significant Operations, Medical Device Design and Production. Stryker, large global medical provider with strong Florida operations. Agility, medical device equipment and social service provider with local support networks. Integer Holdings, focusing on medical device components. Not saying it's any one of these folks, but there are a good number of Florida and/or Tampa-based Tampa-Bay-based companies that deal with medical devices. Yeah. And it could be one of the bigger ones too. It could be a company that has an office in Tampa Bay. But it says they were headquartered, so it's a little different than, say, having a manufacturing hub or something over in that area. So. yeah, I don't want to dig too deep on that one because they may still be hiding that for some reason. So, but you give it enough time, you'll be able to figure it out probably. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, but they were working together, which makes sense. Cybersecurity services based out of Israel. Their services are posture assessments, tabletop exercises, red teaming, purple teaming, threat intelligence exposure models. They also deal with incident response, threat hunting, incident response and SOC training services, and MDR. Okay. He had access, Goldberg had access to probably a lot of that stuff and could probably, I wonder how they got found out. I don't think the article mentioned how they got found out. Somehow they got found out. Maybe the ransomware people let something slip about internal information that only the company would have known about. I can imagine over time that maybe they got a little overconfident. Maybe they thought they were never going to get caught and they let something slip, or maybe they wanted to check something real quick and they had poor OPSEC that one time. You know how you hear about people like the ransomware folks. You know, they go through all of these controls, like, you know, use Tor nodes, they use VPNs and whatever. Maybe one time they leaked an IP address, or they, you know, there was some forensic evidence that they pled guilty, so they knew they got dead to rights. So something happened in their OPSEC. Maybe they, you know, clicked on an email from somebody and didn't do it with the VPN running, and they got their IPs logged or something. It happens. It happens. That's how they mostly find out about these ransomware groups. Somebody does something without going through all unnecessary playbook, like, oh, I didn't start my VPN, I clicked on something for, you know, the ransomware and I got caught. Your OPSEC is only as good as, you know, the point where it's your weakest, right? Oh. Hacking, demanding payments, leverage their insider knowledge. Yes. Yeah, they don't mention anything in here about how it was done. I'm sure it would come out in the news or whatever. With hackers, I wonder who. You know, maybe Martin was playing the negotiator at this point, and Goldberg was playing the guy they negotiate with or something. They would have to have done certain customers. They would have had to have. I imagine they weren't spraying and praying. It would have been like specific ones. They didn't want to do too much. They had, you know, access, right? They didn't necessarily need to. You know, they could have disabled MDR. They could have done a ton of things to get around the detections. So maybe it was like, well, they didn't get in with email or something like that. And it doesn't say how many people they did. So it could have been, you know, I'd imagine, wow, that would have sucked if they did it one time and got caught. Well, not sucked. It's just maybe they weren't really good at it or something. Yeah, I mean, they only mentioned the one, so maybe that was the one they got caught in. So there could be others, right? Maybe there'll be more victims that come out in the trial, like, you know, they also did that to these people as well. They spent years hacking and demanding payments. So yeah, there may be other victims out there, other companies out there that were affected while these people were working at Cigna and Digital Mint. So there may be other companies that were maybe Digital Mint or Cigna customers that, and that's why what they say, not the target of the investigation. I'd imagine these organizations are definitely looking to see if there were other companies or other clients that were affected by these two gentlemen. So good news, by the way, if you're using Windows still, if you haven't left them because they're making Windows 11 the AI OS, they decided they're going to get rid of RC4. Why is that important? So one of the things that hit me was curb roasting. So RC4, which is still being used, vulnerable to attacks for a while, created in 1987. It was famous for its use in WEP, SSL, TLS, and Wi-Fi. Has been cryptographically broken and considered insecure due to several severe vulnerabilities, key stream biases, allowing attackers to recover plain text and session keys. Yes, discovered flaws mean modern systems should use stronger alternatives like AES. So yeah, this is so they're getting rid of it. They're finally deprecating it. Not going to happen right now. You got another 18 months to play around with it, or it goes away. So your curb roasting attacks will still continue to work until, what did they say? Another 18 months, mid 2026. They'll be updating domain controller defaults for the Kerberos key distribution center on server 2008 and later. Shouldn't be using 2008. It's probably end of life, end of service. That would lend itself to suggest that they're going to push a special update for Windows 2008, Server 2008, allow only AES SHA-1 encryption, which has still stood the test of time. There have been collisions with SHA-1, but not that type. RC4 will be disabled by default and only used if a domain administrator explicitly configures an account or the KDC to use it. They're disabling it by default, but they're not removing it because there may still be some legitimate reason in an old-ass environment, like an ICS or OT environment, where they're using an old version of that. They may still need it. But Windows servers by default respond to RC4-based authentication requests and return to RC4-based response, leaving networks open to curb roasting. Curb roasting is a post-exploitation cyber attack technique used to extract encrypted service account passwords from Microsoft Active Directory. Attackers then crack these passwords offline to gain unauthorized access. And there are several tools for that. They've been, mitigating curb roasting for, I don't know, a good long while. CrowdStrike has a decent write-up on curb roasting. Remember when it was, who was that? Was that Waldo? I want to say Waldo was mentioning it or had a talk about it. Good friend of mine, Jim, he used to work with him, had a talk about it at DerbyCon, and that was when we were at the Marriott. So that was one of the last 3 or 4 years before the system. Good Lord. So yeah, how does it work? Using any valid domain user credential, variety of tools to identify AD accounts and have SPNs or service principal names tied to them. Threat actor then requests a Kerberos service ticket for one or more of these identified accounts, granting a ticket granting service with using tools like Rubius or SecureAuth's get user spns.py. Threat actor they receive the ticket from the KDC. The ticket is encrypted with a hash version of the account's password. Hashed version of the account's password. Who the hell thought that was a good idea? Threat actor captures the TGS ticket, takes it offline, then they attempt to crack the SPN credential hash to obtain the service account's plaintext password. Right. The hashed version of the account's password, encrypting it with that is the problem, right? Once they have the account's password using the hash, which can be reversed, then the attempt to crack the hash to obtain the password using brute force techniques like Hashcat or John the Ripper, right? So they can send billions of hashes, RC4 hashes a second. I don't imagine it takes very long. With the service account password in hand, the threat actor attempts to authenticate as the service account and is granted access to any service network or system associated with the compromised account. then the attacker is able to steal data, escalate privileges, or set backdoors on the network with to ensure future access. You do not require a domain admin account or an account that has elevated privileges. In fact, any domain user account can be used in this type of attack, since any account can request service tickets from the TGS. So you just need a regular user. The fact that everybody seems to run as local admin on their local boxes is neither here nor there. It helps, but you know. Host-based SPNs are not vulnerable to curb roasting attacks because the password is a long, complex key refreshed every 30 days or less. User account SPN passwords, on the other hand, are selected by humans and therefore often share the same vulnerabilities as other manually created passwords. Yep. Curb roasting attacks exploit an architecture flaw in that any authenticated domain user can initiate a TGS request for any service on the network. The domain controller that is the recipient of the request typically does not check to see if the user is authorized to access the service. That is another problem. You know, I shouldn't have, you know, the ability to, you know, request something if I don't have the ability to access the service. Because the domain controller does not verify whether the user should be allowed to request a service ticket for that particular service principal name. Adversaries can obtain tickets for any service account and attempt to crack them offline. Yeah, good times. Good times. And of course, one of the first things is, you know, hard passwords, right? 14 characters. Upper, lower number special. Avoid recognizable words, phrases, or patterns, and update periodically. So they're going to get rid of the RC4 bit, which is going to, I would say, eliminate or mitigate. I don't want to say eliminate you know, because there may still be RC4 authentication will no longer function unless administrators perform the extra work to allow it. In the meantime, crucial that admins identify systems inside their networks that rely on this cipher. Right. So if you got older legacy stuff, you know, if you don't need it, turn it off. You know, make sure there's a legitimate reason for it. Streamline the identification of such systems. Microsoft is making tools available. That's great. One update to KDC logs will track both requests and responses that make RC4. That's great. That's perfect. You know, check your logs, make sure that, you know, it doesn't require an RC4. I would say go back about a year. If you haven't seen anything that uses RC4 in a year, you could probably turn RC4 off now. Be proactive about it. Turn RC4 off now instead of, you know, when they are forcing you to turn it off. Just in case you don't have something come up in a couple months and it's like, oh yeah, we're going to be using an old ass version of authentication. Check your vendor logs. You know, check how they're authenticating to your AD if you're still using on-prem AD. Your legacy, if you're still using like Windows 2003 or Server 2003 or older versions of Windows, enable the AES if they have it. I don't know if older versions of Windows allow for, you know, removal of RC4, but might be helpful to start looking at doing so. No salt, no iteration, really. It's hard to kill off a cryptographic algorithm that is shipped in every OS for the last 25 years. Yep. The problem is not that the algorithm exists, it's how the algorithm is chosen, and the rules governing that span 20 years of code changes. Yep. It ultimately punted after discovering vulnerabilities that required still more fixes. During that time, Microsoft introduced some minor improvements that favored the use of AES, and as a result, usage dropped by orders of magnitude. Okay, so there were still internal things in Windows that still used RC4 to maybe like inter-process issues that used RC4 by default instead of AES. Or by turning off RC4 altogether, it broke things inside of Windows that they needed to, you know, address because, you know, like they said, 20 years are cruft, right? So this year we've observed RC4 dropped to essentially nil. Now, if you're using, I don't know, Azure AD, that may already be turned off or deprecated. I don't know how they're handling that. You may end up having to do some kind of boundary extension if you're using Azure here and it only uses AES, and, you know, yeah, I don't know. is implemented in Active Directory authentication. It uses no cryptographic salt and a single round of MD4 hashing function. Dear God. No salt. That requires, yeah, MD4 is a fast algorithm that requires modest resources. Microsoft's implementation of SHA-1 is much slower and iterates the hash to further slow down cracking efforts. SHA-1 hash passwords require 1,000 times the resources to be correct. And this was Dan Gooden from Ars Technica. So, just in case you want to, plan for next year, or if you're concerned about those items. If you're still using Windows and RC4 and you got some legacy stuff, poke at that. I got a ton of shit here, and I don't. I found this article interesting. Bobby Azarian, Dr. Bobby Azarian. I'll just put this in here for y'all to have some light reading. Talking about the connection between information and consciousness and like AIs. So, AIs have a lot of information, but they don't, they have information and they can spit it out, but they don't know what to do with it. And the idea is, the link between physics and experience may be simpler than we thought. And it talks about two different kinds of information, the order within a system and the knowledge about the world outside of it. So it's like taking that information and practically applying it in some cases. Consciousness is what emerged when information turns inward and starts modeling itself. So, interesting article, reviewing some of that. There's some higher, order math in here. You may have to look some things up. I know I did, like what phi is and all that. So, yeah. So, the concept order versus knowledge, internal, external, integrated information, semantic information. So yeah, they're talking about how we're going to change, and you're going to gather all this information and how it's going to turn into a consciousness. How we, and thinking fundamentally how we turned into what we are. Yeah, evolution, development experience isn't just, and the M dash is here. I was wondering when they were doing a lot of this, if it wasn't written by AI itself, that would be kind of redundant, I think, in some cases. Tool time, let me see. So found this on Reddit. Somebody was, if you are looking for a GRC tool, there's a tool called GigaChad. I don't like the name, it's kind of stupid, but an extensible GRC tool. So if you're at that point in your company where you're like, we need to buy a GRC tool, surprise, there's about 500 of them. They all do things to some degree, right? Some of them are missing some things, some of them aren't. Some of them don't do vulnerability management well. Some of them don't do it at all. The idea is this is a GRC tool. It has a web front end. It runs in Docker. It will run on Linux OS and all kinds. And you can actually do things like set up two-factor authentication. So you can actually try it in your browser with no installation. So you can, log in or continue with GitHub. I wouldn't, depending on how much you trust it, you can log in with Google or GitHub or whatever. A lot of the times you're gonna, set up a GRC and you have to give access to your auditors, your 3Ys, your 3YPs, who will, be monitoring your compliance at a glance. One of the last things I was doing at CrowdStrike before I left, we had to give them access so that they could watch things happen on the fly. Or as it was happening, so that would save them trips, it would save them back and forth emails. They could just look in and go, oh, okay, there's been changes. You've been notified that there have been changes. So, it gives the ability to have some, better authentication mechanism than a username and a password. So, let me see another tool here. PyMu PDF for LLM, which if you have documents that you want to put into your local RAG, your retrieval augmented generation for training, you need a tool that will allow you to scan PDFs or scan documents and return text or return markdown. And this is a tool that can do it. And one of the reasons I was wanting to do it was for PDFs for role-playing games, which come in a traditionally 2-column layout with tables and things that are in there. I tried using this on a document that I have legitimately purchased, by the way. I'll say it kind of works, but there are. Let me see, where's the MD file? Here it is. No, don't do that. Open with. Where's VS Code? There we go. Where is it? There we go. Oh no, that's not it. Sorry, I've been doing a lot of stuff here. So. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Okay. I can't find it. Anyway, so it works, but having it in a proper font is important. Having it in some kind of specific font size that doesn't do so well. There's a lot of error messages. I'm sure the pro version of this would be a little better, but what you need to do is when you take your files or PDFs or documents and you want to put them into text so that you can put it into your AI and train it, you want to make sure that you can get a good index of those things and chunking those pieces of text properly. This is, it works. I mean, I was able to, so easy a caveman can do it. I'm that caveman. Let me see which file is it. Trying to find the file that I used in my history here. Okay, I don't have it. It doesn't like certain fonts, which is why if you're going to, take a PDF or something, you need to have it in a good font. I'm sure there's a way to train it or to make it better for that, but yeah, you run into issues with that. They do have examples in several of the docs here. Let's see which one. No. There you go. So this was the Medium article I was following for that, and they have examples on the page where you can go and review. So yeah, I mean, they give you the examples on download, install, and then there's here's a 2-column table PDF that you can. The idea is certain fonts work better with this, are more readable in this case. This is obviously not in English, but you can actually use the markdown text.py to pull that information from these PDFs to get the information in such a way so it will actually scroll this way, it'll scroll down here, it'll scroll here, and it will grab this, and then we'll continue on down through and give you markdown or text that you can use to chunk up and train your local RAG for that. If you want to make your book or whatever a little more more difficult to have scanned by an AI for importation, you make the font a little more difficult or a little harder to read from OCR into the system. So I've been playing around with that. I'm sure there's ways to tweak and train that to work a little better, but I haven't delved into that too yet. And of course, here's the docs for it. They have a pro version which you can buy, which allows you to do other things like Word docs or spreadsheets, PowerPoint. I don't know what HWP is. It's some sort of specific thing, but you can buy a license for it. They have a key, and you can buy it if you want to use the. I'm sure the pro version has more enhancements, but you can play around with the free version. Anyway, it's getting dark and I'm getting hungry, and I appreciate everybody for taking the time to stay here. Go check out BSides Seattle. Go follow up with them. BSides Seattle. BSides Seattle, 27th, 28th. If you'd show up, I'll be there. So you can meet me in person. If you need a hotel, like I said, Aloft Seattle. I believe they also need volunteers. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest or you can make it up to Seattle, they do have a a call for volunteers. So I'm not sure. Let me see. All acceptance. We do rolling acceptance notifications as they're processed. And I know my music has died because my headset died. But yeah, so you can go do that. So go check that out. And yeah, hope everyone has a good holiday. Don't go out and do anything too stupid. And hope to see you again next week. And go. Have a great day. Have a great holiday. And we'll talk to you all soon. Okay? All right. Take care.